I'm Elliot Roberts, and today we're in deepest rural Kent to check out KW UK's facility, and Richard Good's going to show us around his car collection.
So here, Elliot, we have, this is one of our event halls. This is where we will launch new products.
So this has changed since I was here in 2017.
I'm sure it has, yes.
Yeah,
our business has changed a little bit, so we can, promote some of the new products. Here's a lot of electronic products we want to show our dealers.
And I know you were talking about wanting to show people also the product, but not just the pretty looking damper, but actually what's in.
What makes it work? What makes it tick?
Yeah,
the insides of the damper, our full product range. That's what's important.
It's got a real Germanic feel to it. I don't know where that comes from, but I guess that's spending time in Germany and stuff, and you see how it's done over there, and I guess it's adapting some of that over here.
I think so. Yes. Yeah. I mean, the German way is always more efficient. And we try to make people feel at home and comfortable,
cool.
And in an environment that that inspires them as well.
Yeah. Club Sport.
Club Sport, yeah. Mark 7 Club Sport. So this was the car we used for track days.
Yeah.
They're still quite a rare car, so something we've kept on the fleet.
A proper driver's car, isn't it? Manual
box. It's got some tuning worked by Awesome GTI. Okay. This runs with our three-way Club Sport kit.
Yeah.
You can run the Club Sport kit with a semi-slick tyre. At the moment, we've got the BBS wheels on there with the I think they're the PS4s.
Okay.
Mainly for just street use or wet weather.
So is it tuned engine-wise, or?
It is tuned. Yeah, so it's got the APR tuning. I think a stage 3 tune.
Okay.
So intercooler.
Yeah.
It's got the air box on there. I think probably 400 horsepower is probably generous.
Wow. So they're a great car out the box, but
yes.
It's just enhancing what was there.
Pretty much, yeah. It's running the Miltech exhaust system.
Yeah.
So it's still very mild in terms of how it looks and how it performs. Great on the road.
Yeah.
It's got a Sachs performance clutch, the standard one, slipped with that kind of horsepower in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's works well. Was
Fantastic.
Really quick on track.
Cool. So what have we got over here on the bench then, Rich? This is,
so over here, some of the latest products to show you.
So with stuff like this is the aim is really, because you don't deal with the general public here. So this is just your UK dealer base.
This is all for our dealers.
Yeah.
To show our dealers our new products, and show them cars, product, how it works, break it down, touch, feel, which a lot of our dealers never really get the chance to do. They always see a finished product.
Yeah.
Most of the time, and only if you're only a Volkswagen dealer, you probably only get to see Volkswagen struts. You don't get to see Porsche or.
And the end consumer is not necessarily going to always see this.
No.
So it's getting the dealer to be able to get that message across. Rather than a nice looking glossy damper,
Absolutely.
There's a little bit more to it.
There's a little bit more to it. Cool. There's this is some of the components broken down for the plug and play for the Golf R.
And you also still do the range of the blanking kits as well, don't you?
Yes, so electronic kits. In here you can see all of an overview of our cancellation kits. Again, plug and play. Most of them are plug and play.
I think I had this kit on, I think, a Mark III Scirocco.
Yes,
back in the day.
yes.
It's only coming over here today. I started going back through how many cars I've run KWs on.
Yeah.
Quite a lot. But
yes.
Yeah, I think that's right. So
yeah, so these are the cancellation.
Plugs in and it cancels.
Absolutely. So again, it's a plug. It plugs in. It comes with a full installation instruction. So every part is designed to mount somewhere. So we tell you exactly where to mount them in the instructions, and then that turns the light out on the dash. It lets the system know that you've taken the original dampers out or the serial dampers out, and you've changed them with the KW.
And because you were saying previously, like obviously they, your VW, Audi, BMWs, they all have different systems.
Absolutely.
And how
yes.
wide is the KW range? It's
I mean,
quite a lot of manufacturers.
I mean,
Massive.
there's, just to give you an idea, in box part numbers, we have something like 27,000 individual box part numbers.
Yeah.
And probably very close to 285,000 individual parts that make up all the kit. So a huge amount of, parts to look after. Everything from this, this would have a part number.
Yep.
So just in...
You can't imagine what it would have been like back in the day, before digital and being able to log that.
Manual, everything manual.
You wouldn't be able to do it, I don't think.
You couldn't do that today.
No.
Just, components alone inside here are, this is all made individually at the factory as well. And there's, they're actually really nice things to look at. Attention to detail, the logos on there, the part numbers on there. You can purchase them individually if you get a problem with one of them.
But I like how they're subtle as well. I think, obviously, back in the 90s, it was all bright and brash and stuff. And, and again, I think KW have adapted their branding as well in some respects, haven't they? Like, I think last time I was here, you were telling us about the classic range, which I think you had on your Corona,
yes,
didn't you?
we adapted in the UK the classic range quite early on. And
which seems crazy because you spend a lot of money and then you want it to look factory, but that's kind of
absolutely
that's a VW scene sometimes.
I think so. And now it's a general thing. You can order a classic kit with the black springs. So we try to individualize things for customers and be able to do what they want. We listen to what they're trying to say to us and try and adapt and give them what they need. In the ST range, you're able to completely individualize any kit from the ST range now. So if you want blue springs, you can have blue springs, red springs. You can even have your logo or your name on the spring.
And just for people at home, the ST range is, I don't like to use the word budget, but effectively it's a lot of the great products.
In most cases, the insides of the ST range is KW. The main difference on the outside is they come with a steel galvanized strut to as opposed to the stainless steel. So it's really a question about how long do you want to keep the car. If you're going to if it's an investment and you're going to keep the car, you bought yourself a nice Club Sport and you want to keep it and you want them dampers to look nice, like you said, then you should invest in the KW in the stainless steel range. If you're looking at 2 or 3 years, then and you are on a budget, then maybe you can look at the ST range that then has just the galvanized housing.
That makes sense. That's a good way of explaining it.
And we can see when we go through to the other hall, we can see some of the ST stuff.
Okay.
And you can then hone in and see some of the differences. So this is our latest product for the Porsche series. So it's
what is that?
So this is a drilling here, which will be used in the future for other things. And I think that's probably all we're gonna mention on that at the moment.
So it's effectively at the moment it's a blanking.
Yes,
posh blanking.
Watch this space.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. But so it's a Porsche.
This is a rear Porsche damper for a 991, 992.
Okay.
It's aluminium strut. They're from stock aluminium. The struts in most cases, so we replicate that. But it's
is that treated with something or coated or something?
There is a coated on the aluminium from factory, which otherwise they tend to, if you have raw aluminium, you'll see it oxidized. Oxidized with the air and the salt on there, so it still has a protective coating. So again, the spring perch, which you probably all know and is well known for, is the purple composite one-piece spring perch, which is very unique to KW.
And it does not corrode.
It does not corrode, and we get a lot of people saying it's made of plastic, it's going to break. It's composite. There is a metal insert inside, and it can take a load of up to 2 ton. So you're not going to break it. In the worst case, you was the bad boy and you didn't clean your threads out and you adjusted it and got it caught. These can be cut off and removed quite easily. It's £20 for a new one. But it's not doing is damaging your housing. So
because that's when it does get expensive.
That's when it starts to get expensive. You're in for a complete strip down. Of course, we can strip it down and put a new housing on, but you're probably getting into £250. £20. So it makes a lot of sense. This one then is running with the spring. You've got the helper spring, and then obviously the plug and play part. And then this has got obviously KW's damper set up inside.
So I imagine the plug and play branding is appealing to sort of a different audience to probably we grew up with, but it's a more mature audience where they, again, the investments in the car, if they're changing it, they want to know everything's going to work, I suppose.
Absolutely. I think, electronics on cars, like I said, people are really reluctant to lose this.
Yeah.
I mean, there isn't as much actual technology in terms of damper technology in this damper over the Variant 4. The Variant 4 is way more technically focused for a road use, and for a guy who's interested in chassis tuning. You would choose the Variant 4 over that, and you would lose the electronics.
This offers I guess, a ride height. You can change the ride height.
You can change. Obviously, you have the ride height adjustability,
but you just keep that.
You just keep that factory button. In most cases, what I've experienced is driven these cars from the Golf to the Porsche. The comfort mode, it's okay. You've got your lower in now, but when you go into the sport button, it's super stiff.
Yeah.
It's nothing you comfortably want to drive on the road.
No.
It's probably, even in most cases, too stiff for the track. So really, you tend to then not use the button.
Yeah.
So you just keep it in comfort mode. So then it's like,
why is it there?
and people say, well, I have to keep the button.
Yeah.
And you say, how many times did you press the button?
I know.
Yeah, not so many times.
No,
so, but again, people don't want to lose that. And I think we're able to, with the damper characteristics, make it so it's more friendly, more usable. So actually, you're going to press the button every now and again. So, one of the things I noticed on the Porsche was actually when you're pushing along and, in the country roads and it is starting to get bumpy, it's actually better in the sport mode, which you would think actually it's going to be stiffer, so you're going to be harder. But it was actually more compliant in the sport mode, and it gave you more confidence. I was up at RPM Technics, which is one of our Porsche dealers, with a couple of weeks ago. I actually took the Porsche up to them and spoke to Ollie up there.
So this is the 99.
This is the 991, and we'll take a look at that. And we both went out in the car, and we played with the button, and we had way more confidence in the sport mode under uneven road at high speed.
Yeah.
And we did the loop twice just to double check. So
Yeah.
It now has a purpose.
Yeah.
Where in the stock form, you would never have pressed that button to go over those bumps because it would have just skipped. So I think that's where the electronic side is really playing out. Like you said, you can lower it.
Yeah.
That's first and almost for most people.
I love the fact I love the fact, as much as you're a driver, Rich, that the visual thing is so important.
It is so important. It looks so much better lower.
Going back to the Scirocco I had, Mark III Scirocco, lovely looking car, but standard ride height.
Absolutely.
Horrendous. But, like we said about manufacturers and the compromises they have to make, I guess your job is to,
absolutely
remove some of those compromises to tailor it to each
you know,
individual.
We get customers, and mainly for the the Porsche customers. They spend a lot of money on their Porsche.
Yeah.
And Mr. Richard Good, KW, comes along and says, you need to change your suspension.
Yeah.
What's wrong with my Porsche suspension? Does Porsche not make a good enough suspension?
Yeah.
And it's not about they don't make a good enough suspension. They have to appeal to a really wide audience. The guy up in London with his suit, driving round, and then again for the guy who's a bit more enthusiastic on the weekends. That's quite difficult.
Speed bumps, shopping lows.
Absolutely. So there's lots of things there where we're appealing to a much smaller audience. The customer we're appealing to is interested in suspension dynamics. He's interested in driving his car. He's an enthusiast of his car, and that's what. We're special. That's where we come in, and we're able to, fill that gap in the market.
I've enjoyed seeing companies like Singer and Gunter and some of these larger tuners coming along, because you've worked in the modified car scene for us probably longer than I have, Rich. And it's still, when you say to people, I work on a modified car mag or I work with modified cars, there's still that element of boy racer. And I think seeing some of these high-end tuners coming along, it's opened people's eyes to the customization and the sort of tailoring stuff to individuals. Like, you don't want to live in a house like everyone else. You don't want to drive, wear clothes like everyone else. You don't want your car to be.
We're all individual.
And
we have to recognise that we all want something different. And at KW we try to do that. If you look at our portfolio, we are catering for the guy with his Fiesta, plus the guy with his Lamborghini. And we respect everybody from there and everybody in between, but we have a product for them.
I love the element of what KW, what they work with certain manufacturers that they can't always talk about on special
Yes.
projects that we won't talk about. But you know, that stuff you'd love to talk about to build,
We
build the brand more
we
and
do
stuff,
we
but,
do work with manufacturers. We work with BMW. We work with Volkswagen. We work
I remember
with
like
Audi.
I don't know if we can talk about it. Black Edition Mercedes.
There is the black edition from AMG.
I was quite impressive though.
Yes.
You know.
So
Yeah.
things have gone past. People
Yeah.
are not stupid. They find out in the end
Yeah.
where it comes from. Our components are quite easily identified. Bump stop's got part numbers on, KW
Yeah.
logo on. So people in the end do find out. And nowadays we are supplying lots of aftermarket accessory programs for Ford, for Volkswagen, for Audi, even for Porsche these
ST
days.
was doing a lot with Ford as well. I think
Yes.
even maybe
So for the
American
well,
team.
the ST, I mean, for the Focus ST, we
Yeah.
were, was doing suspension for that in the aftermarket program.
Yeah.
Was Blue Springs. It was a variant 3 actually.
Okay.
But with Blue Springs, and it's. Are we ever going to be a manufacturer to supply on the serial dampers for 20,000 cars? No, that's not our business. Our business is the niche market, the people who want to go that extra mile. That's where the manufacturers come to us and ask us to build them something special.
Yeah.
And that's where we're able to help. That's where KW as a company is geared up for doing very special, specific small runs on tuned cars.
Speaking of special and specific, should we go and have a look at the 991? Because
Yes,
I think
let's have a look at that.
Because I think the HLS is something that I really think it's expensive, and it's expensive for a reason.
Yes.
But I think that's for the future. I think that, and the way the roads are and traffic calming devices and stuff, I think it's going to be the future. And you've been developing a kit for this car, Rich?
This car's been out to Germany twice now. It will probably go a third time before we finish the project. So this is with the plug and play.
Yeah.
So with the electronic dampers, works with the Porsche software, and it's got the HLS lift on the front.
And the HLS is still just button?
Yes, so button,
up or down?
up and down.
Yeah. It's still absolutely fine to drive it at full lift?
Absolutely. I mean, it's connected to a speed sensor.
Okay.
So I think it's 35 miles an hour,
Yeah.
40 miles an hour. It will automatically drop back down.
Go down.
Yes.
Brilliant. Yeah.
So you can see here, there is the button.
Yeah. Super subtle.
So you can see why it's flashing. That's saying that
Making
it's
you
lifting.
aware. Yeah, yeah.
The car's lifting. Once it reaches the top, it goes into solid red.
So nice because it just looks factory, doesn't it? It's just a factory,
Absolutely,
and that's
yes,
what people want.
We also, you can also, and this car doesn't have it. If you have the smoking pack,
Okay.
you can actually. It's designed to fit in the cigarette lighter.
Oh, really?
So you can completely hide it.
Yeah, yeah.
So, it is very very discreet.
These are big cars now, aren't they, Rich? Compared to the 964. I mean,
big,
you get
absolutely.
inside, it probably doesn't feel quite
Yes.
so big, but they're
You
big
do
cars.
get used to it, but they are, as you say, they are a
Yeah.
a much bigger car.
Yeah.
Here is the pump system. So
Yeah.
this is attached to the battery tray.
Okay.
So basically, you can undo the 4 bolts, remove the factory battery tray, and install the KW one, which is then integrated with the pump system, integrated with ECU. It's basically everything you need here to lift the car up. So really compact, really OE. Battery goes back in, cover goes on. You don't even know it's here. So it's a very OE plus, if you like.
And you said in terms of
installation.
maintenance, it's pretty much...
It's pretty much free maintenance.
Yeah,
It's obviously got oil in there, runs under pressure, but as long as the system is sealed and there's no leaks, you
be
don't
any
need to worry about
problem. No.
anything.
And
There's a
then
dipstick here,
Okay.
should you need to check
So you
the
can
oil
check the
level.
levels, yeah.
You'll kind of know the oil level because you'll hear some bubbling.
Okay.
You'll know that it's drawing in air instead of having full oil in there.
Yeah.
And then, generally you'd have a leak. If it loses oil, you have a leak. It's normally a pretty much sealed
And then
system.
this is your plug and play.
This is the plug and play dampers. So these are the KW dampers with the wire coming out the top of the piston rod, and then it goes into the OE loom in here,
Yeah.
and then syncs with the factory software.
Yeah.
And then just down there, if the cameraman can get that, you can just see the lights on our ECU. Probably from that angle.
But ultimately, it doesn't take up any more space. It's it's
No, it doesn't take up any more space in the car. It's just great.
Yeah.
And the 997 was the same.
Yeah.
So 997, 964 is a little bit different, but the 997, 996 is all up there with the battery tray.
Yeah.
So really compact, out of the way.
Yeah.
This is using a unique system, which you've probably never seen in your life before, which I should explain. This is called BBS Unlimited.
Okay.
So BBS Unlimited is a wheel. This wheel could probably fit, several cars.
Okay.
Because it's working on an adapter system at the back.
For the PCD.
So the
wow.
PCD changes. So
What?
the easiest way to show you is probably here.
Wow.
Here
Because
you have.
Back in the day, adapting would be like nasty adapters or
of course.
wobble bolts, which I just never,
Yes. And
never.
that's where we come in. I mean, there's so much we can talk about.
Yeah.
When this is born from ST.
Okay.
So if you ever look at an ST spacer,
Yeah.
it has a composite middle part, which is interchangeable, and then you have a disc which is you can go up in 3mm increments.
Yeah.
So we took that technology and used it in the BBS. One of the biggest problems dealers would have, is they've got their stock, they've got their wheels there. Elliot comes in with his Audi. Can you fit a set of 20-inch? I would love them in the bronze, please.
Yeah. Yes, because when you look at not just sizing, colours and whatnot, it's just widens the...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And of course, then, they might not have the right offset.
But this,
So
this is huge. This is just
it's
game
game changing.
changing. Yeah.
You're able to then just pick the down. Well, actually, Elliot, how far out do you want to go?
Yeah.
Do you want to go with a
look
smaller
at that,
disc?
Look how narrow that's quite a narrow...
This is the smallest one. I believe this is a 14mm.
Yeah,
So
brilliant.
14,
Yeah.
17. I think they kind of go up in like 3mm.
So effectively,
in
you've just got
increments.
element of
Yes.
movement in each.
Yes, so you could
5.
start with the 14. You could go,
Yeah.
actually, my winter setup's going to be with the 14mm. I want the tyres tucked in. I don't want it to chuck up dirt.
Yeah.
But actually, I'm going to probably go here with the, in the summer, I want that out.
So how wide is the range of wheels that will fit? It's multiple PCDs.
Multiple wheels, yes.
basically?
As the name says, it's pretty unlimited.
Yeah.
What you can do,
Yeah.
it allows you basically now to tune your wheels,
Yeah.
to tune your offsets.
Wow.
And that's pretty remarkable, to be honest.
That is, yeah.
And it means that the dealer can keep less inventory on the shelf because one wheel will fit several cars with the adapters.
Does this system only work with BBS wheels? Okay.
And it only works with that wheel because I think the PCD on that is something like 117 or something like that. So
Okay, yeah.
actually that wheel will not fit without an adapter.
Yeah.
Will not fit any car on the market
Okay.
without having the adapter.
So, Rich, as much as you've moved into the Porsche territory personally, you're still a massive fan of.
Yes,
I think an element of love there,
Yeah.
sentiment, whatever it is. I think.
Unfortunately, it's quite dusty, but it actually is, completely runs and was restored a few years back.
I was going to say you had it fully restored, didn't you?
And it drives just time.
Yeah.
It's just trying to get out in the cars. Work tends to eat most of my time up.
And this is G60, isn't it, Rich?
This is a G60.
Yeah.
I have had this an awful long time. I don't even remember what year I actually bought it anymore. I know all I remember is I had a Mark III Golf GTI. It was about a year old.
Yeah.
And I hated the Mark III Golf GTI. It was such a boring car to drive for me. It was a 2 litre. It didn't feel like a 2 litre. No. And I spent a lot of money on that car. It was £11,000 that.
Funny the stuff you never forget, isn't it?
Yeah.
You never forget
it
that
was like,
£11,000.
wow, such a lot of money for a car.
Yeah.
And then I was driving through Tunbridge Wells and I saw this in the garage there and I was like,
wow,
oh dear. So I went in there and
this probably felt quite lively as well.
It was
lighter,
so much faster, much more fun. This is the one thing I remember, when you've got that good car, because you can't sleep at night. And I remember getting up at early hours of the morning and taking this car out.
That's probably why it's still here.
It probably is. And it was, for me, the sound.
Yeah.
The sound of the G60 is just completely unique.
I was the same with the Rally. There used to be one in my hometown and just hear this thing hovering around. It's like, that's amazing. Could you show us quickly under the hood? Of
course
I know
we can.
you.
Yes.
This was sort of modified, and you've.
This
gone
was
more
heavily modified. It was,
OEM.
you know, I did a little bit of sprinting in it, so it had big brakes and, you know, all of the big cams in it and air filters. And, you know, as you get older, over the years, you know, I've pretty much now put it back to stock.
Yeah.
You know, it runs, and I don't know if they even still are alive, but it runs a Kent cam. You know, quite a low profile. It had quite a Larry one in there. It's quite a small cam in there.
Standard airbox back
Standard
on.
airbox. So it had a Eurosport, I believe, big air intake on there.
Yeah.
So back to standard box. A very, very close friend of mine, John Mitchell, rebuilt the Charger.
Corrado, I think,
yes.
Long ago.
Yeah, John Mitchell and myself go back a long way.
Yeah.
And you know, he has helped me an awful lot with the car, sourcing parts. His mind for and attention to detail down there is absolutely second to none.
Yeah.
So I bothered John an awful lot in this.
And now it sits there covered in dust. Rich. Shame on you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
this car's on HLS still all.
Yes,
all round.
HLS all round.
And then you've got your Cobras in there as well.
There's some Cobra seats in there. So again, you know, it's always about relationships.
Yeah.
You know, and Mark at Cobra we've also been, you know,
he's old school.
absolutely.
Like us, he's been around a while.
Been around a long time in the scene. You know, helped each other.
Yeah.
And you know, he's actually done this more than twice for me. You know, he used to live outside. And I think the sun actually bleached all the first interior he did for me, and I had to send it back and, you know, tail between the legs. I need it redone again. So this is the S2 range, which you know of. So it starts off with a simple spring kit, spring coilover kit.
Okay.
So here you're able to adjust the individual height.
Yep.
Then you go on to the entry level on the coilover. So kind of like the variant 1, the variant 2. And then you're going into, you know, some Club Sport stuff here, fast road and Club Sport. And then you move on to the KW range. This is the comfort range or the street range. So to start with, you go into the variant 1, variant 2, variant 3. Then you go into the variant 4 and the variant 5. So that's all the street performance range. And then you go into street comfort, where you have the electronic dampers. Okay. You have variant 2. You have a new product which we haven't talked about, which is called our leveling product, but it's like an OEM plus product. Okay. So this gives you minimal lowering, maximum comfort. So you know, in some cases it actually doesn't even lower the car, and we'll keep it at ride height, so we can come back and talk about that.
It just improves the ride.
It improves the quality of the ride. Yeah. Here you have plug and play. With HLS, so again, all part of our comfort range. Yeah. So there's the HLS on its own on a variant 3. This is the HLS on a electronic damper.
Are you saying that's a slightly revised HLS system?
Yeah. So this was the early cylinder. You can see the bellows, and then this is the latest evolution. So we're always, you know, updating and improving the products. Here you have into the Club Sport range now.
Yeah. So this is track focus.
Track focus. Yeah. So customers who want that bit more from their car. Yeah. So two-way Club Sport, three-way Club Sport, and then you're going into the V5 Club Sport. Yeah. And then you start going into motorsport. And that's
a whole bigger field, but an important field because that's where KW started in the very first place.
Yes. So you know, motorsport is always important to us. So here you have your beginning steps where you've got, you know, your compression adjustment. You could say like a variant 3, but it's all motorsport parts. Yeah. What's the difference? Okay, motorsport is all individually built. Doesn't go down a production line. It's individually built for you, for your needs, for your car.
And the car, yeah.
So everything
totally
done.
Tailored.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've got your remote reservoirs.
You've got remote reservoirs, which sometimes, you know, we use to allow, you know, a bigger flow of oil. Sometimes the adjustment is done on there. You've got high speed, low speed. This is a monotube upside down damper. Okay. This is a single piston rod solution, high speed, low speed on both rebound and bump. And then again on this one, a single piston rod solution with a kind of a blow-off valve on there. Wow. Which basically allows for, you know, big bumps basically. Where does that, you know, energy go? Yeah. You know, it needs to come out of the damper, and that's what that's kind of used for on there. So lots there, Cervelco bearings, which is kind of something you wouldn't want on the road.
No,
you know,
it's hot.
It's hard. It's noisy.
Yeah.
Doesn't last very long because you get dirt and grime in there. So you know, if we do something for that, we would protect it. For example, dust cover.
Yeah.
So this, you know, we on club sport kits, we intend people to drive on the road. So it's no good them having a spherical bearing that's not covered because it would be noisy and it wouldn't last very long.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, so these are all things you need to think about. Is the use for the customer, longevity,
and actually seeing it laid out here. It just, you know, what better way to explain it,
Absolutely.
especially to simpletons like myself. But no, it's that's
you know,
incredible.
you know, I could probably spend a lot of time talking about one damper.
Yeah.
You know, is it necessary? Probably not. You need to know how it works, what the you know, the functions are, what's the benefit to the driver, the car.
Yeah.
But it's to be able to show the full range.
Yeah.
You know, that's super important.
Brilliant. So this is your beloved Mark 1 convertible, which
Yes.
we've been talking about for a while, and I must admit, when I was coming here today, I was expecting it to be a little bit
further on.
maybe.
Yes.
How long have you had this, Rich?
10 years probably.
Yeah.
10, 12 years. Yeah. So it was an eBay buy actually.
Yeah.
It's a Mark 1 Golf. It's a Carmen. So it's had like the white interior.
So not a clipper, small
Not a clipper. So
bumper.
GTI, small, no, big bumper.
Big bumper,
Was
okay.
big bumper,
Yeah.
Carmen, GTI,
yeah.
with that white interior it had originally was inside.
Yeah.
They're the original
Totally
wheels.
impractical, but looks.
That's
just
the one.
looks
Yeah,
so period, yeah.
And I drove it around a little bit.
Yeah.
Just loved it. Manual roof. I think it
Yeah.
had manual windows.
Wow.
And then, you know, I think the engine was getting tired, and that's kind of where it always starts, isn't it?
Yeah. They come off the road, and
So come off the road, engine out, and while you're there, why not?
obviously it's been painted, but it looks like it was probably quite a straight car.
It was quite a straight car.
Yeah.
It was pretty straight. There wasn't much damage. I think the front slam panel had a little knock at the front, so we did new slam panel, and then had the whole car painted. The idea was kind of, you know, cafe racer kind of idea. It's got a 16 valve engine for it on Gen V throttle bodies.
Oh, nice.
A Quaife gearbox. That's all down at John Mitchell's at the moment, all built, ready to go. I think it's just now a matter of slotting it in and getting it down to John and getting probably him to just finish it off. I kind of wanted to do the suspension, so we've got the Variant 3 on there.
Yeah.
It's got front lift, HLS. So
awesome.
It's just lots of little quirky bits we've managed to source over the years.
Yeah.
I think we managed to source the last set of Padgett Racing Mark 1 Golf pads.
Crikey. There were probably a few of those back in the day, weren't there?
Absolutely.
But,
Tarox with the brakes, and just stuff that I've, you know, liked over the years.
That should be a fun little analog car for
yes, absolutely.
running around on the weekend.
So,
And,
yeah.
well, thanks for showing us around today, Rich. It's been educational,
sure.
and it's just great to see that you've still got the love for the cars, really, as well. It's I think sometimes as businesses grow, you know, it's easy to sit back and rest on your laurels, but to see you invest in sort of back into the company, it's great to see you here for the long haul. I just can't imagine what it'll be like when I come back over in 5 years' time. How much more room have you got to, you know, expand on and stuff? But no, it's been really good.
Yeah.
Really good to have a look around. So thanks for your time.
You're very welcome. I think, you know, it's all about, you know, for us having a lot of passion for still what you do, and as you know, we've been doing it an awful long time.
Yeah.
You know, we have a lot of support from, you know, our owners, you know, KW in Germany.
Yeah.
They support us with what we do. It's, you know, they're nice to work with, and that's also helped us, you know, to grow in the way we've grown in the UK. So it's not always one-sided. It's you know, we do get support from our factory.
I think it's nice to be promoting a product that you believe in, and it's awesome at the end of the day. So.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for watching at home. If you like the video, remember to like, comment and subscribe, and we'll see you again next time. Thank you.